Hello everyone. How you doing on this Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you? I'm off to a good start. Well, good-ish. Seems I forgot one piece, but I did fix the script. Think I've addressed all the issues that we had last week. We're gonna be good to go. It's smooth sailing. And I know I'm jinxing it. I know. But we should just be able to get through today. Very easy. Go back to streamer school. Jeez. We have Charm Tiger, Pear, The Youth Worship Explosion. Leon's here. Probably a few others. See, Pear is celebrating their 60th. That's awesome. I hope to make it to 60. I have this weird... I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to bring it up. Yeah, happy birthday, Pear. 60 is awesome. And may you have another 60. Hopefully. Although, what's the oldest person to live right now is like 114, 112. So actually 120 would be a record. It's hard but possible, 100%. Can you jinx the jinx when you're talking about the jinx? Sure. Observe the train. You're here too. I saw you had a comment earlier, and I guess I missed that when I was calling people out. Living past 100 has to be miserable. I don't know. As long as you can keep your mind sharp and your body capable. If you're just going to sit in a seat for 20 hours or for, 16 hours a day and sleep the other 8, yeah, I think you're going to have a pretty tough time with life. But as long as you stay semi-active and keep your mind sharp, it's probably great. 2112. Is that because of Rush? Aiming for 120? I don't know what I'm aiming for. Usually I'm just happy to wake up the next day. And as long as I keep that mentality, I think I'll be good. Oh, cool, it is Rush. Nothing special is going to happen, but you get to listen to 2112 in 2112. That would be pretty cool. Anyone know any good vampires in need of familiars? Or youth fountains? Youth serums? I think that's on the table as well here. All right. As you may have read in the Discord notification, I think this is going to be one of our heaviest ones today. My dementia-riddled brain will brighten up surely. I mean, technology, I think, is going to help there. Because my brain's not too good as far as memory goes either. I'd like to say, like, I'm good at, like, 30-minute chunks, but honestly, for those who drop by the gaming reactions during the week, you'll know I forget things really quickly. I don't know what it is with music. I can just latch onto that and remember it for a long time. Everything else, I don't know. It's tough to store. Imagine listening to black metal in a nursing home. It'll happen. Nursing homes are going to have LAN parties. Yeah, dude. We're getting to the age where the older group of people are going to be ones who grew up on video games and VR and streaming. You're not going to have, just the news in the corner while some people play cards or something. Also, dude, there's this really cool Counter-Strike team, and they're made up. I think everyone in the group, all 5 players are all 6 players. They're all like 70 plus years old, and they're called the Silver Foxes, I think. And they're pretty good. So yeah, I think as we keep progressing through the years, we'll definitely see more older people playing games. 10-hour Minecraft sessions. What else do you have to do with your life, right? Up to 100, it's a blast. It's getting past 100 that things start to get a little shaky then, huh? I doubt they can keep up with the whippersnappers. That's true. They're not going to be on par with the others, but they hold their own. Like they're a legit, I think they're a legit esports team. So they're not scrubs. I'll be listening to Alkaloid at an old folks home. How weird is it going to be when me and a bunch of other, 70, 80-year-olds are all jamming out some My Chemical Romance? Oh, jeez. That's going to be fun. And that's going to be considered old people music. What kind of music are we going to have in 40 years? That is going to make that seem so ancient. That's fun to think about. And back to the live stream. Let's kick this off before any other existential crises begin to happen in my head. Hey, Mark. Slept until almost 12? Hey, you obviously needed it. It's actually been proven that really old people can maintain reaction time and other skills through doing physical workouts. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some degradation, but it's not as bad as most people think if you keep up on it. That's the thing. You got to practice it. You got to keep those skills and the synapses firing. There's definitely a lack of function, but it isn't as bad as a lot of people say. But like even right now, I mean, dude, I remember playing games in like my teens, like, Quake, Unreal Tournament, really fast games, and my reaction times felt snappy. And now I feel like everybody can start attacking me before I even register they're on screen. And it's not like I game weekly, a couple times a week, So it's not like this skill's kind of gone on the back burner or anything. Reaction time is something that I've kept up with for forever. I mean, I used to do, brain puzzles, brain teasers, for like reaction time and trying to keep things up, being able to process things quickly. And it's still, you slow down over time. There's just no way around it. You got to keep gaming. Them kept you up. Yeah, that was a good album. And if you enjoy that album, if you enjoy that band, that's definitely a video worth staying up for. Am I doing my workout? Yeah. Mental workout or physical workout? Because I'm doing both, I suppose. And they're going well. They were all getting old edition. Aging and reaction time. Yes, let's get back onto the reactions. Weird segue there, but some good old wordplay. We're going to kick it off with some Modest Mouse. What do I have to do here? Why am I blanking? Oh, comments. This one comes from Robert. Nothing quite scratches that raw 90s vibe like 90s Modest Mouse. Let's dive into this, see what's going on with this Modest Mouse. Oh, you just finished the film video. Dude, that's dedication. A 4-hour video before a 2-hour live stream. Good reaction time is 1+ hours. That's good. Oh, that's fair. I do the same thing with long form stuff. This is exactly what I expect from Modest Mouse. But something about it feels unexpected. I think it's the acoustic element of everything. I've only heard a couple of their big songs. The only one I can think of is that All Float On track.
You can't make everybody happy. You said you'd like to at least.
We'll get there. Trust me, this stream will get heavy.
Though I'm not sure who I am. I'm not sure who I am, but I know who I am.
I do like this 3-part string work. Ooh, okay. Okay, I thought we were wrapping things up, but apparently not. Is it that obvious? All right. That was interesting. We had some. This is honorary black metal. It's definitely noisy. It fits into that area of like noise rock. gritty post rock. I don't know. It's hey, Synapse, welcome. Oh, and Shading, you're here too. Gakume. Got some people trickling in here. I think that's really it. It's too long and repetitive. The beginning is a kind of a straightforward indie rock quasi emo thing going on there. I like the interplay between the strings. The vocals are interesting. The tonality of this is not necessarily my cup of tea, but I can appreciate it for what it is. The pitch imbalance is mostly infrequent, showing up enough to give some spice and allowing the song to have an edge of a different intonation. But otherwise, pretty straightforward track with some really cool four-way counterpoint. I was on board with that. And then we adapted that into a chordal movement. We took all these disparate parts and smashed them together for a chord progression. Very cool idea. What are they going to do with that? Noise. They put noise on top of it. And I thought this was okay. I believe this is the mechanical birds part of the track, and I think coming from that perspective, I could kind of hear some chirping at times, particularly seagulls. There was a sound that kind of reminded me of police sirens. Okay, I'm on board for the painting of this picture, but it goes on for so long, and we remove drums and then we add drums, and then we remove drums and we add drums, and it always feels like the song's going towards an ending, and then it comes back without a change. And I think that's really what gets to me. If they had chosen to add sounds or remove sounds or recontextualize it somewhere in there, I think I would have been more receptive to it. But 3 minutes or so of just guitars making noise, that's not my cup of tea. You were actually starting to get into it at the end? All right. I don't know how to feel about it yet. I do want to check out more Modest Mouse, though. Like I mentioned earlier, the only thing I've heard is that We All Float On song that was super popular in the 2000s. Someone had mentioned that there was a track in Rock Band 2, so I probably heard that one a few times as well, but I can't think of what song that might have been. They need to keep increasing the speed until it was just white noise. The tempo shifts were neat, and they insinuated or like led me on to believe there was going to be some change, some interesting change going on, and all it ever happened to be was tempo shifts. Okay, float on. Yeah. So that's might be the only song I've heard from them. Maybe another big hit on, like, I don't know, mall radio stations or film. I feel like I've heard another one of theirs. But this song, the noise just wasn't it. Not for me. Ocean Breathe Salty. If I've heard that, I don't know the name of it. Or yeah, if I've heard it without knowing what the name was. There we go. All right. Every time I see this thumbnail, I think we're listening to Panic at the Disco. And we're not. We're listening to OOMPH with the track Labyrinth. Spiral Out, glad to have you. Did I miss anybody else? I think I've called everyone else out. What was that sound? I don't know, but it can't be good. All right, OOMPH, not Panic at the Disco. What's going on here? Comes from Spiro. I saw the What About Bill song picked. Here's the same vocalist when he was in OOMPH. Very interesting. If y'all don't remember, What About Bill did a cover of Bullet with Butterfly Wings from Smashing Pumpkins. We checked that out during Covers Week, and they kind of took a lounge approach to that song. Kind of low tempo, low energy, swung, smoky kind of vibe. And apparently that vocalist was the lead vocalist of OOMPH for some time. Let's dive into this. See what's going on here. Oh, I don't know who OOMPH is. For some reason I was thinking of Wham, a different onomatopoeia. It wouldn't surprise me. He's covered a lot of really big rock tracks. It's a soft T, a very soft T. Onomatopoeia. I'll put that heavy emphasis there. So this is industrial metal, maybe alternative metal. Oh, okay. There's a specific genre for this. What is Hertz? Because I'm imagining that's New German, New Deutsch, but I don't know what Hertz means. Yeah, it's an accent thing. Us southern rednecks in the States, we like to soften up our T's to almost a D sound. New German hardness. Okay. To be fair with baby metal though, the metal isn't really poppy. This is definitely a lighter form of metal though, alongside the poppy vocals. Yeah. Spirit Box I'd put in the metalcore category. They definitely have a poppy aesthetic. Modern metalcore, I should be clear about that. Where would Sleep Token sit? I think I'd put Sleep Token under alternative metal / pop / hip hop / They have some progressive elements in how they combine things, but I don't know if I'd call them prog. I don't. They're all over the place. They're one of those bands that where every song is a little different, every section's a little different. It's tough to put them into Imagine Dragons core. What if Britney Spears was really avant-garde grindcore this whole time and we never noticed? I don't know how to interpret that, but I want to come back to that statement sometime like 15 years in the future and see if it makes any more sense then. AI can make that happen. Yeah, it certainly can. I enjoyed this track for what it was. It's got a 4 on the floor drum beat, very straightforward, mostly just chords on the guitars, their texture, their rhythmic. And then we have some catchy vocals on top of that. I actually found it rather difficult to discern verses from choruses from bridges. The main thing is sometimes we bring the energy down to whispery vocals and palm muted guitar work, but even that's not consistent. I would say most of the verses sound just like the chorus. The bridge once again brings the energy down, palm muted guitars, much like parts of the verse, and then we build that back into the chorus. It is sort of a one-note track, but it does that one note rather well. It is catchy, it is infectious, it is a bop, and I couldn't stop moving along to it. So it certainly does what it wants to do or what it sets out to do, I believe, while being visually very 2000s. And I mean that with as much sincerity as I can. The aesthetic captures a nostalgic part for me. But it's not something I'd go back and listen to. It is, however, an interesting counter to What About Bill? These vocals would not have worked very well in that loungy sound at all, and it's really interesting to hear this vocalist jump between these two wildly different ideas, which I think was the point of submitting them for this month, just to show a different side of this vocalist and their skill set. But like other people have mentioned, it feels very much like Rammstein, and it's another band that I enjoy from a distance. I think they make catchy music. Generally I'm not a fan of though. You don't get Sleep Token? I think to get Sleep, wonder if he lounged up any of his own songs. I certainly would if I was in that position. I kind of hope they did now. Actually, that sounds like a really fun idea. For anybody who's in multiple projects of wildly different sounds, to adapt a song you've written to a different project's sonic identity. Yeah. Even for pop songs, you don't find Sleep Token songs to be memorable. Feels like a gimmick. I think this is going to help a lot. Imagine Sleep Token not as a metal band or a pop rock group, but as a pop star, an artist, where the performance is part of the allure, where the lore is part of the allure. The music is just a part of why people love Sleep Token. Now, I'm sure there are people who just love the music. For whatever reason, it ticks all of their boxes and they don't dig into all the supplement stuff. But from what I've seen, from comments on Sleep Token reactions of mine and in the comment section to some Sleep Token videos, a lot of the fans are all in. They like the music videos, they like the visual aesthetic, they like the performances, the live shows, they like the lore behind everything, they like to keep up with this semi-religious element of who Sleep Token is and the spirit of sleep, or I don't know what's going on back there. And it really is an all-encompassing thing. So I think that kind of helps if you're having some issues seeing why Sleep Token's so popular. But the other thing too is that they're a really good bridge band. They can get metalhead people into hip hop or rapped lyrics at least. Yeah, they do metal, they do rap, they do pop music, they do the modern electronic sounds, they do rock, they do screams, they do everything. They can pretty much grab somebody from most of the popular styles of music and introduce them to something new, which is going to sound fresh because of the high production quality that's put onto everything. So I think that's another thing that really works in their favor. Good for everyone who likes them and congrats on their success, but no. Hell Songs do wonderful lounge versions of metal. Have we heard Hell Songs before? The band name sounds familiar, but I can't place a song that I've heard of theirs. Robbie Williams did Swing When You're Winning, but that wasn't any of his own. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, it makes me want to try a song in a multiple. Actually, that would be pretty neat. I want to get the composition jam going again, but I kind of ran out of steam both on ideas and creativity. I kind of hit a roadblock on music making myself. I think the last 2 or 3 jams, I didn't even submit anything myself. I mostly just did the peer review for everyone else. But that might be a fun one, to write a song in multiple styles. I did react to them on stream. Okay, so I have heard Hell Songs before. Oh, MTV Unplugged, yeah. I mean, acoustic versions are something we've heard many times before anyways, but having like a dedicated segment to help artists re-envision their sounds, yeah. Might have selected Run to the Hills. If you did, I don't remember it. But that song, the original, at least the drum part, is seared into my mind. I hate that drum part so much. Probably because I practiced it week after week after week to get a passing grade on Rock Band for it. So they all got a 6 out of 10. So like mid stuff. Right there in the middle. Decent, good. The whole discography. Video pause. What? The video is not paused. Yes, keep watching. Why? No. YouTube. Just stop, please. Their version's better than the original? Wow, Run to the Hills is a popular song. Sleep Token's getting way too much hate. This isn't true metal, it's just not an argument. 100%. 100%. And simply because they have heavy guitars and some screaming, people lump them into the metal category, and then the purists come in and say, well, that's not true metal. Yeah, no, this is just a bunch of fans and anti-fans riling up drama for no reason. That's a you. You're not a big Maiden fan? Okay, well, then that's definitely a reason why you would find a cover to be better. I've been there with songs. We have Themgoroth here with Highway into the Unknown. This comment is rather long. The youth worship explosion is back from his yearly Southeast Asia pilgrimage and ready to derail the conversations in new and inventive ways. Today's track is from the band Highway, from the band Themgoroth, with the track Highway into the Unknown. It objectively is better. Oh, innovative. Did I misread that? This band released an unremarkable mid-place symphonic black metal release in '95. Their bass player tragically passed away in a motorcycle accident in '97. The band afterward released Highway into the Unknown as a tribute to their friend. The musical direction changed to a symphonic prog metal while retaining a slight blackened element to it. The track is sad, but at the same time, you can really feel a lot of love in the track, making it feel almost like a celebration of his life. So in some places, it can actually feel uplifting. The band never released anything after. Dude, I mean, like, that's bittersweet, I think. To put something out like this for someone who was close to you who passed away, and then to shut the project down, whether intentionally or simply because, you know, you lost the creative spark or the willpower to continue on without your friend in the project. Like, I get it. Puts a lot of weighty context on this. Yeah, the Mastodon ex-guitarist was in a motorcycle accident recently himself and passed away. All right. Let's check this out. It is a double request, but it's only like 8 minutes long. So let's dive in. You can feel it right from the start. With the spoken word and the low, deeper voice, it almost has a gothic metal elements. Really interesting walk up there. That third note. Hey, Arkonji, welcome. Interesting tension on the keys there. And a nice bit of volume contrast too. It isn't just removing layers, but actually dropping the volume of the track.
this unnamed way. Highway into unknown.
I like the vocals, all three styles here. The cleans, the harshes, and the spoken word. I think all three of them do a great job of evoking emotion alongside the heavy, melancholic music. Yeah. Really well done track that kind of merges a few different things together. It definitely feels close to a little mix of like heavy metal and death metal. And it is a 90s album here. You can definitely feel a lot of that in the guitar riffage. But when we bring in the vocals, when we bring in the synths and the piano and the overall gloomy, melancholic chord progression throughout most of this, you can find a track that, as I mentioned earlier, just feels very passionate. You can feel the emotion exuding out of it at every moment. I do agree with Mark that it is what it is for a lot of it. There are some interesting moments, but it tends to really lean on some key lengthier sections to it. But I found, generally speaking, it's emotive enough to capture me, at least for a first listen. Yeah, I would have liked something. Maybe just some counterpoint, some more drum work. I don't know. But I'm also not a classic metal guy either, and I think that's where that comes from. Because the riffs here are strong, the drums work well at driving the proper energy, whether it's a halftime feel to make something feel heavier, or double time from the halftime, the proper time feel in order to have that momentum forward. I think the drums are great for what the song is. The synths do a great job of expanding the sonic texture of the track, of bringing in that other. Well, honestly, I don't know how often these specific synths are used, but they almost remind me a little bit of like a digital pipe organ. And that makes me think of, for whatever reason, it makes me think of the Afterlife. So I think that's a really good choice for a track like this. The piano runs at the beginning were nice, and I would have liked to see some more of those, but even just having the piano playing chords throughout a lot of the track brings in that extra layer just sonically to it. It brings in a nice, pretty, pristine element to clash with the weight of the synths and the size and grit of the guitars. Even the vocals are a bit on the grittier side. Whether they're spoken word, clean, or harsh, there's a darkness to them. And so having the piano in there as contrast works really well too. Hey, beautiful curse. Glad to have you. How do I get one of my songs on the list to get reviewed by you? You can just email me if you'd like, criticalreactions@pm.me. Since you're requesting your own work, I can just go ahead and check that out. A different chord progression or verse chorus bridge, perhaps. Yeah, just something I think to change things up a little bit in any way. We've talked about this. I like contrast. And I don't necessarily think that the atmosphere of this needs to be contrasted, but a different way of telling this emotion, I think, would have worked better for me. But just, doing what they're doing, I think they did a great job with this, especially given, the year. This was 96, 97, 98. So I think it's really good for 98, kind of focusing on that older sound while bringing in almost a gothic aesthetic to it. Fate of Norns by Amon Amarth. Amon Amarth. I've only heard one or two tracks from them, I think, but that's the Lord of the Rings band, right? Am I thinking of something else? Yeah, I'm looking forward to the email then. And I'll try to get that on the channel soonish, next week or two maybe. Has nice screams and you can sob to it. Okay, Amon Amarth isn't the Lord of the Rings group. Okay. They're a Norse mythology band. Oh, hence Fate of Norns. Okay, yeah. We've done, well, we did Emotional Resonance, 2 weeks of that. That might have been a good one for that. A song that has screaming that you can sob to. Yeah. All right, we got a lone drummer in this music video thumbnail thingy. Kind of power death. I vaguely remember that. I find this kind of evil. I mean, I quit. I'm a terrible host. I find this kind of interesting. The vocalist for the band we just listened to, Themgoroth, their stage name is Evil. And we have our very own Evil in this community. It'd be funny if they were one and the same. I doubt it, but it'd be fun. Just totally drop the ball on that. Ah, jeez. Terribly entertaining. The evil inflation. There's just more evil everywhere now. All right. Nailed to Obscurity. Liquid Mourning, but mourning as in sadness. I'm definitely getting a metal vibe from all of this. And you see next we got Static Dresses. That's going to be heavy. This one comes from Kipper. Oh, Death Doom. Yeah, definitely metal then. Dooming. Yeah, actually, Liquid Mourning, definitely a doom sound right there. Especially amongst evangelicals. Yeah. All right, let's kick it. See what Nailed to Obscurity's bringing. Oh, 100%. Mourning is definitely a word that just oozes doom metal. The all-black music video so far, too. Okay.
Missing every detail.
Good morning. Out of curiosity, how do you think they shot this video? You think they green screened and then put the black behind them? Or do you think that you couldn't shoot in a dark room? The light would bounce everywhere. You would need that paint that absorbs like 99% of light. Yeah, that's what I'm, the paint. But they have water beneath them though. Either way, it's very striking. I'll have to check that out, Mark. How did you guys go about doing this? Well, it wouldn't need to be a dark room at that point. Although I don't know how you would... The green screen in the water, reflecting off the water, would be a pain to alpha channel out. You'd have to do that by hand for every frame. Yeah, this probably just is a purpose-built room. I hadn't even thought about that. About standing far away from the backgrounds. It's a very crisp production throughout. Everything is very clean. Yeah, solid track right there. It's got nice contrast between the lulls and the heavier sections. I like the vocal diversity on it. The drummer, he's just good, man. Got that consistent movement throughout with some nice changes up to everything. The riffs are interesting, not because I think the riffs themselves are doing anything odd, but just the guitars are kind of quiet. You don't hear that too often in metal. You actually kind of have to listen for them. This is, well, I was talking about the crispness of the production, but it kind of is pop produced. The vocals are a bit higher than you would expect for doom metal in particular. This is very high fidelity doom. Yeah, the guitar work's good. I like the riffage in here. I like the arpeggiation that we got at times. It's driving, but it carries emotive elements to it as well. It's a bit heavier and drearier without being this, the slow, heavy, hold notes out that doom metal is. And I guess that's that death part of the death doom combo. But it carries the weight and the emotion that doom does while having the energy and interesting riff elements that you find in death, with the variability that you find in, I don't know, like mainstream metal. You have the cleans, you have the harshes, you have the light versus the heavy. Yeah, I think it works rather well. Not bad where I'm from means I quite like the track. I mean, to be fair, it's not bad, so it must be good. I don't think anyone's going to take the bait on that one, Mark. The band members are not very well lit, and they're not lit from the back. The green screen room would need to be bright in order for it to work. Yeah, it would. And then you would replace the green screen with like solid black. At least that's the perspective I was going on that. But then you would also have to take into account reflections on the water, and it would need to be a well lit room, and you would have to adjust all the lighting for the people and the water. And yeah, it's too much work. A fully black room would have just been so much better. Brock Bear singing you hate. It can't be that bad of a singer. I think everyone is a decent singer. Most people are decent singers. I'll put it that way. The confidence, I think, is what comes into question and what makes something good or not. It's the question about knowing how to sing also. Yeah. But then the band members would be too bright. Yeah. Like I said, you would have to do a lot of lighting tweaking in like Premiere or whatever to really adjust the people the way you would want. And it's just too much work when you can just have a dimly lit room. Just kind of cut that out and not do it artificially. Descent singers, only ascending. If Mick Jagger was a good singer, I might like the Stones too, as they make good songs. Shots fired, Mark. But yeah, I found this to be a nice, palatable style of heavy doom metal. And not really my cup of tea, but if I were to listen to doom, this might be where I start. Because I think they capture the vibe well while keeping things interesting as far as what I like in music. Now, speaking of what I like in music, we're going to hit up some Static Dress. I don't know if I particularly like this song. This group can be a bit abrasive to me, but they're definitely in the post-hardcore screamo area of music, at least what I've heard. So I'm expecting to like at least some elements of this. Dang, we got two Rolling Stone haters. This one comes at us from Cameron. More Mallcore revival for you. That's what I'm talking about. Tried to pick something with your criticisms of the last one in mind. Interesting. Is there another live stream next week? There's a live stream every week. Oh, because no, we didn't have one on the 3rd. Everything got pushed back a week. So that was the one that we didn't have for this 5 Sunday month. But yes, we will have one next week, and it'll wrap up the August requests. And then November has an extra Sunday in it, which will be good because I think I'm going to try to combine November's and December's requests together and try to get that done before the winter break. All right, I hadn't even thought about that, but I'm glad I have now. Yeah, definitely. I think we're pretty packed for next week. I think we're up to 10 or 11 requests, but as usual, I don't mind going over, an extra 10, 20, 30 minutes for the stream just to make sure everyone gets their requests. Yeah, I do think Beautiful Curse left, but let me check my mail. Might be able to get you that link since you're interested in it. Yes. Let's see what we got here. If you're curious, you can... Oh, not very searchable. I'll get you a link in Discord later, Mark. You can check it out. I was gonna have you just, it's under this YouTube channel, but it's not a very searchable YouTube channel name. All right. So this song's called Sweet by Static Dress. Let's check it out. So much energy. There we go. The drummer's doing a lot to change up the feel of this song. Dang, attacking the hair? Not even musical criticism there. Little Deftones spice here. Love the harshes coming in behind the scenes. Using ring lights like that is really clever, actually. Call and response. That quiet muted guitar movement between the breakdown hits.
chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, the requester had mentioned that this is part of a revival. Oh, is it not over? It is over. So, yeah, it being on the newer side makes sense, but it certainly is aimed to feel like something way older. Back to the 2000s, late 2000s maybe? Yeah, this is right up my alley though. It's a very comfortable sound. There's nothing in here that really surprised me. I pretty much called out most of the tempo changes with my body movement. It does what I expect it to do. It goes in the directions I expect it to go in, and it feels great all the time. The video does feel very 2000s. The ring light gave it away though. That's definitely a modern tool in filmmakers' tool belts. But everything else had an older aesthetic to it. But I like the dual guitar work. We had some call and response. We had just straight up dual guitars, two separate ideas in the verses. The choruses kind of bring everything together for chords. The vocals, the duality between the harshes and the cleans there. We have the more melodic and brighter and positive chorus with the gnarlier, grittier, and even noisier, lots of dissonance in the verse, particularly that first verse. There's the breakdown that it's fine. I'm still not a big fan of breakdowns, but I thought this one was nice enough in that there was something happening in the space between the key hits. We had the guitar sort of rumbling down there with the fast playing. And it was over pretty quickly too. I think it was like a 20-second breakdown. So yeah, okay. I think that's a really good perspective on it too from Arkonji. This, I don't think, is a song that reinvents anything. It takes a lot of the post-hardcore sounds, just in general, and well, it's not even that. It's like this is everywhere. As far as mainstream heavier music goes, alternating between lighter, cleaner, brighter stuff and darker, heavier ideas, it's all over the place. The breakdown, pretty prolific in modern heavier music as well. This, like I said, it's not doing anything different. It's felt a bit too generic in the end. I could see that. It isn't trying to break the mold. It certainly is part of a revival movement, bringing back an older sound and trying to be as close to it as possible, it seems. I was well up into my descent into metal madness. Oh, when this music popped up. Interesting. But like for me, I just have a lot of nostalgia for this sound. I'm going to check out more of this, but I don't know if it's going to stick with me. It might be one of those albums I get through once and just I'm happy to listen to it. But I don't know if it's something I would go into heavy rotation because of how, what's the word I want? Iterative it is, of how much it looks to the past rather than to the future. And that can be comfortable at times, but very rarely do those albums stick with me. Started your metal journey in 0203. Yeah, I'm 37. I think, yeah, 37. So I started my metal journey in 2019. So I'm a little bit later than you in that. 0203. That would have been high school. Yeah, post-hardcore screamo. That's what I was getting into at the time. Yeah. Although 14 would have been middle school for me, though. You started your Brian journey in 2020. It has been a journey, that's for sure. Lots of wild rides in the last half decade. At 14, though, I was getting into whatever was popular at the time. Nu metal, Linkin Park. That's definitely what I was getting into at the early 2000s. I guess I started getting to emo in like 04, 05, I think is where I met my scene friends. So started getting into that kind of stuff around that time. But before that would have just been whatever was on the radio. Yeah, exactly. Whatever was on the radio or the TV. Evanescence, Avril Lavigne, Godsmack. And, my dad too, but my dad listened to a lot of radio stuff too. So, in fact, I'm pretty sure I got into Godsmack because of my dad. I remember when he got his last Camaro. He had a Camaro when we were much younger too. But it had a CD player. It was his first car with a CD player, and he didn't have CDs. So he went and bought Godsmack's debut album, playing it. So yeah, some people are like, my parents got me into older music. Mine didn't. My parents got me into hair metal, but I mean that's because it was the 80s. So they were always pretty up to date with their music. 37 sounds pretty old. That makes 60 ancient. You still blast? I will still blast their first 2 albums, give or take. The third one was okay, but the first 2, they stick with me. I really like the harmonic writing in it. It has a specific flair to it that I've never sat down to figure out what it is, but it's distinctly Godsmack. And I think they've gotten away from that in their recent albums, going for more generic sounds. But I've always enjoyed that. 60 is more or less obsolete. I Stand Alone. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. That was off their third, though, I think. Maybe? I don't remember. Live videos of Godsmack, and they're talented. They are. I saw Godsmack live once. I think. I don't remember the concert. I just remember going. It was the only concert I ever went to with my dad other than a festival. So I do remember a drum battle though. I vaguely remember the vocalist also being a drummer, and I think he pulled a harmonica out at one time too. Geez, this is like 20 years ago though. I don't remember. What makes me feel young is the fact I still need to work 30 years before I can retire. Yeah, that's fair. First mosh pit this summer? Wow! I was 59 back then. Ah, such a young whippersnapper. Ah, that's good. Ah, jeez. This is our last YouTube video of the day. I don't know how this happened, but it's perfect. We had 6 YouTube videos, a Bandcamp, and 3 Spotify. They're just perfectly grouped up. I like when that happens. Order is nice. 58. My first mosh pit was 16 maybe. I didn't intend to be in a mosh pit. It was just an alternative rock group. This little band called Hoobastank. And the song Spinning Out of Control or whatever it's called came on, and it opened up around me and I was in it. I didn't have a choice. Lost my glasses that day. Last time I ever wore glasses to a concert. It was also my first concert, so I had no experience on that. The first most pit. Yeah, dude, that song was so good live too. I even covered it with it wasn't even a band. We were just like a bunch of kids. It was like my friends. I was like, "Hey, you guys want to cover some music?" And they're like, "Okay." And we all played in like the band at school together. Three of us did trumpet, one did clarinet and bass guitar. Funny enough, he ended up playing drums in the band. He did bass guitar and jazz though. And we all just like, let's just grab some rock instruments. Let's see what's up. What a weird time. And you just, as a kid, you're just like, hey, this sounds cool. Let's do it. And now as an adult, I'm like, this sounds cool. Let me spend months planning to do it and get everything ordered on it. Because if I just jump into it, it's going to be disorganized and I'm going to hate it. Hurt my knee in 2002 at a Moo festival in Manchester. Less than Jake in rival schools? Yeah, dude, picking people up in mosh pits, that's the thing to do, man. And that's what I love about rock and metal concerts. Nicest people you'll ever meet. No one gets hurt. You go down, you get picked right back up. Double hernia from a festival carrying a friend? Wow. Yeah, mosh pits are friendly. Unless you're at a hardcore concert. Those kids doing the roundhouse kicks, they don't care. And honestly, if you're doing fake martial art moves in a mosh pit, you need to get chucked out. You're not moshing as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. That whole thing in the 2000s with hardcore moshing was so dumb. I hated every bit of it. Standing on a porta potty, which in turn was carried by the crowd. What in the world? Didn't even say you saved somebody from a painful fall and they didn't even say thank you. Wow. My experience with concerts is so different. Your office colleagues loved your demos of hardcore slam dance. You know, in isolation in an office, it looks so ridiculous. I would laugh so hard. Being pulled up while you're tying your shoelace is comical, but I love it. That's just the kind of joy that's spread there and looking out for people. All right. Let's dive into this. We got some Calexico, which is a pretty cool word there. Alone Again, or is the song No Context from What Makes Me Me. A middle-aged mosh veteran that took care of everyone. Yeah, dude. Just having that one guy looking out for everyone. Let's dive into this, see what's going on with Calexico. Y'all are more than welcome to continue sharing your experiences in mosh pits. I just gotta get this train rolling. We're after the hour already somehow. Where'd that time go? What's that link that you submitted, signups? Ooh, I'm sold on this already.
Yeah, say it's alright. I won't forget all the times I waited patiently for you, and you'll do just what you choose to do. And I will be alone again tonight, my dear.
The clapping is nice. I don't know what it is about it. It's just fun.
And I will be alone again tonight, my dear.
Yeah, exactly. It is a charming song. It's got a lot of personality. It's fun. Great harmonies.
You know that I could be in love with almost everyone. I think that people are the greatest fun. And I will be alone again tonight, my dear. And I will be alone again tonight, my dear.
Wait, that's it? That's not fair. That's not fair at all. Well, it's fun for what it is. Wait, is that a tiny desk of them? It is. Well, I might have to watch that later, won't I? Yeah, this is just fun. It comes in with some nice Spanish guitars. We have chords being played on one side, some nice moving licks on the other side. The vocals come in and they're just charismatic. The drums are nice and light, keep the song moving forward though. It's very catchy, very poppy, very bright. The trumpets come in though, just steal the show, man. Then we get the brass duet. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to this one. And it was just a blast. Pretty faithful to the original, just worse vocals. I like the vocals here, but they were a little pitchy. They were definitely a bit on the raw side of both production, physical production and digital production. But I thought it added to it. It felt like almost like a pop-up show. Just a bunch of people came together and knew the song, so they did it. And I like that vibe though. Love's Forever Changes album. I might have to check that out, because if that album's like this, but a whole album of it, I'm down for that. What's the point of this? Sometimes people just want to play a song, I guess. I've usually been of the minds that if you want to cover a song, you should put your spin on it. But most covers that I see are like one-to-one replication, so obviously that's a pretty popular thing to do. And the only thing I can think is that you really like the song and you want to perform it. And I think that works live, but I don't always see the reason for doing a studio version of it and putting it on an album. What's the point of playing music? See, the thing is too, is when I hear a song that I'm like, oh dude, this song's really cool, but I really hear this other element and I want to bring this emotion or this atmosphere out. I will write a completely different song for those lyrics using motifs, but changing things up. There are times though when I'll have a song that I just absolutely adore and I'm like, dude, I'd love to cover this song. But what do I change? It's a perfect song. I suppose in those moments, the average artist would just do a one-to-one cover. But me, I could never bring myself to do that. I don't see a purpose to it myself. Duplicating covers are for hired party bands. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Cover bands, you definitely want to have that one-to-one. You've never found a cover that did anything for you. Wow. Well, that's another interesting thing too, is when you cover a song from a much older era and introduce it to fans of your stuff. And I think that's a positive thing too. I mean, you're sharing music history at that point. And really, there's no better way to do that. It's not like you can share the original. You have to re-perform it yourself in order to claim it and put it on your album. You found covers first and like them more than the original, if that counts. Yep, that counts. I've been in that boat a couple of times as well. Well, you know how I feel about that song and those two versions. Or maybe you don't. I did do an entire video on it though. I certainly enjoyed Cash's version, but it has nothing on Nine Inch Nails' version. Not for me anyways. Please react to my account on TikTok. Yeah, dude, hit me up on email, criticalreactions@pm.me. Give me a link. I'll see what I can do for you. Do you count jazz or don't you like jazz overall? Me? What? Oh, wait, who are you talking to with that? Let me see if there's a reply. Yeah, you were talking to Observe the Train there. I wish that I could get Twitch's reply notifications here too. That way I can just read that alone. Natalie Imbruglia. That is the third time I've heard that name this week, and I've never heard of that artist before. How does she keep popping up? Last week she came up in the stream as well. No, I don't. Actually, I do know Torn, because that was what y'all told me she was known for, and I went and listened to that after the stream last week. And of course I know that song. That song was everywhere at the turn of the century, just prior to it anyways. Cringing and laughing the whole time at Johnny Cash's version? I don't know about cringe. I certainly didn't laugh at it. I think it carries a very different weight, but I don't think it's as emotionally connected as the original. Yeah, you did post it last week, and that's why I listened to it. Please react to my comments in the chat on internet website twitch.com. To be fair, though, I am a music reactor, and this is a good way to get my attention. You know, you catch me live. So I honestly don't mind people coming in. Maybe I need a way to put that on screen or in the description below the video or something. If you make your own music, if you're a composer, a musician, and want your stuff reacted to, email me. We're replacing black metal reactions with Natalie. The Hurt song from Cash wasn't bad, but the other songs... Oh, you're not a fan of Cash in general. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to let that one be. I haven't heard enough to make an opinion on it. All right. We have a 7-minute song. It's a little over, but we're going to cut it 10 seconds short since it's just a really long fade out. This one comes from Scaphoid. That's a name. Celestial Ego. From Tiger Charm, melodic instrumental prog metal. There's a fade out, but we can just end it at 7. That's what I said already. I thought I removed that from the comment, but whatever. All right, so let's dive into this. See what Scaphoid is bringing to the table with Celestial Ego. Shading. Good wordplay. Is Scaphoid a prog-sounding name simply because of the oid? Like Voivod? Is it the OI sounds? largest of the wrist bones. Interesting. It's very spacey. There's a lot of intrigue to this. It's got a mysterious vibe. Oh, I thought we were finally going to get into it. A vote for the extra 10 seconds? I wondered when the metal was going to come in. I mean, in this case, it's just a fade out. I don't think it's... I don't think it's going to be that important to the song. But it's a neat idea for the future. In a situation where maybe a little bit of extra time is necessary to understanding the song. I know there are some tracks that we've cut off 30 to 40 seconds of an intro or an outro to fit in. Really great tension building. Yeah, for like an 8-minute song. Yeah. It's really great at building into things. It just never stays there. It always wants to dip back down and build again. That's certainly one way to describe it. And yeah, everything has been really connected, and I appreciate that. A nice fluidity to everything. Yeah, that's actually a really good description of it. And I wonder how much of that is influenced by the electronic element. There's no way this is the fade out. We're nowhere near the ending. Yeah, we still have 2 minutes ahead of us. This is a nice way to wrap things up, though. I'll give him that. Very spicy harmonies, too. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm enjoying this a lot more than the last sections, and I enjoyed them. This is a highlight. I think it reminds me of it's like a rundown town soundtrack. No. It's capturing the vibe of the Tristram theme song. Tristram from Diablo 1. That's what this reminds me of. Yes, Tristram. That double R. That throws me off. Oh, well, I didn't realize we were already at the end. I wasn't going to cut it off 2 seconds early. That would have just been mean. I like that. All these old people are getting your reference. Dude, all of my references are old stuff. Coldness of Clarity? Is that from this group? Oh, it's a solo project. What album is that on? Oh, there it is. I'll pull that down and check it out. Synapse, there's a game from 1996 called Diablo, and there was one town in the game where the whole thing took place, and it sounded like the theme song to that town. Diablo 2 is the game that got me into PC gaming. It's just burnt into you. Yeah, dude, that theme song. I don't even think about it too often, but when I hear something like it, I feel like I've never heard anything that matches that, or for whatever reason, that's the first thing that pops into my head when that mood shows up somewhere. It is a really amazing theme. It captures the vibe of not just the whole game, but that town so freaking well. It's a very expressive theme. Honestly, a little bit of a tangent here. I will stand Diablo 1 over Diablo 2 any day. Primarily because Diablo 1 is kind of like a roguelite. And Diablo 2 is a full, fleshed out, endgame, grindy RPG that every RPG since has been based on. But I think people would really like Diablo 1 because it was a roguelite before roguelites were cool. And I still think it's the better of the two. A little bit of a hot take there, I guess. For sure. I mean, Diablo 2 it's the progenitor of the modern RPG, so it's certainly missing some things. It feels its age, that's for sure. They had 1/3 of a game and then made you replay it on higher difficulties. Isn't that what they all do today also? Exactly. Yeah. Coming back to this track, though, I enjoyed it for what it is. As someone mentioned that it felt like prog metal, but post-rock. I don't remember who that was, but I'm going to bounce off of that. Oh, that was Arkonji. It is prog. Lots of different influences here, some really cool harmonic ideas, mostly using a metal instrumentation set, but lots of synth work going alongside that. But it's really focused on moments, and it will sit within those moments for a while. And I think that's pretty cool, but it never became the thing. We always built into something and then reduced things down, built into something else, reduced things down. And I just, for whatever reason, I wanted it to do something once it hit these peaks. We've built all this energy up to dissipate over and over and over. And that has its own thematic purpose to it too. You can certainly use that for an artistic perspective on it. But I wanted a story for some reason. And this song didn't want to give that to me. So I think on a subsequent listen, knowing what it's about, I might appreciate it a little bit more. The moments themselves are very cool. There's beautiful sections, there's mysterious sections, there's just groovy, hard-hitting riffs in here. It's really well done. And I like the combination of the electronic elements with the metallic ones. But it really is the ending that really sold me here. That moody vibe, the acoustic instrumentation, kind of removing all the heightened elements and focusing on something a bit more grounded here. That just absolutely grabbed me. So I'm 100% in on that. All right. Oh yeah, I grabbed Coldness of Clarity. I'll have to listen to that later. Before we get into this, give me 1 second to check on things real quick. Alrighty. Next up, we have Utsu-P. Is that the proper pronunciation for that? And Hatsune Miku. Is Utsu-P also a Vocaloid, or is Utsu-P the artist and Hatsune Miku is the Vocaloid? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out in a second. The song is called Gorgon, though. This one comes at us from Gakyu. If any Vocaloid producer will appeal to the metalheads around here, it's Utsu-P. Okay, so Utsu-P is the producer, and they're using Hatsune Miku as the vocals. All right. And it's going to appeal to metalheads. I'm very intrigued about this. Let's dive into this. Good call on the timpani. And good call on the Greek mythology there. So we have growling Vocaloids now? Dude, the groove is so infectious. When did this come out? This year? The delayed accent. Yeah, I'm sold on this. And the tempo increase. Into a breakdown. Is that a Vocaloid pig squeal? I kind of figured I kind of figured I had a grasp on what this song was for that opening verse chorus, and it threw a huge wrench in that to wrap it up, moving towards deathcore, or Arkonji mentioned terrorcore, which I'm not familiar with, but I'm going to assume is somewhere in that vein. This is just, I was on board for it. As Spiral Out mentions, very baby metal-esque. It is traditional metal sounds, but done with very high fidelity production and poppy vocals. We do have the growls that go in there as well, giving it more of that metal edge, but it's still a very poppy, catchy song. The verse is very groove heavy and very electronic. Hardcore techno gabber, but extra fast and dark. Gotcha. And I felt like it was a really nice poppy style of metal. Had some harshes in there, but overall a very palatable metal style. And the ending just completely threw me for a loop, going for a core style breakdown noise component, complete with Vocaloid pig squeals. How do you program that out of a pop Vocaloid? I don't know, dude. People are getting too good at programming these Vocaloid programs. And would you are they programs? Are they virtual instruments? How do you define a Vocaloid? I don't know. To me, they're like a virtual instrument. A little different, aren't they? The fact that I call them they and them rather than it, like I would call a trumpet. That's interesting too. Vocaloid synth. So yeah, an instrument. I don't know. I was on board with it up until the end. That really went in a direction that's a bit too much for me. But certainly, if you enjoy cleaner, crisper produced metal and can get past the Vocaloid element, you might find a lot of stuff in Utsu-P's discography that might appeal to you. I'm certainly going to check out them. They had an album from 2023, and alongside this and one other single, they also released an EP this year called Puppeteer. This was released back in March. I'm probably going to check this out. It's just a couple of tracks. You call horns a section. Oh, yeah, that is true, as a plural. And I guess I don't refer to individual Vocaloids as like her or him. At least I don't think so. I don't know. I'm going to be kind of cautious of that. Not cautious, conscious. And kind of see what kind of vocabulary I use. People usually define Vocaloids as waifu. All right, Leon. You have a good rest of your day. We're going to try to get this wrapped up less than 10 minutes in the stream until we hit the 2-hour mark. And there's 10 minutes of music left. We're going over today. I hope y'all are cool with that. Dude, it is storming. The last month, we've had afternoon storms. Usually about 3 to 5, it'll rain. But the past week, it's been between like 8 and 12. You just wake up to gloominess. And then it's just muggy all day as the humidity skyrockets for the peak hours of heat when the sun is at the highest. It's terrible weather. I love the rain. It's too early. I like it when the rain comes in to cool things down, not prior to the day heating up. But that also signifies that we're going to be moving out of summer soon, because we usually see this kind of weather shift moving into autumn. Our summer's been extremely abnormally rainy. That's interesting. What area is that? If you don't mind, I mean, you don't need to dox yourself. Nothing super specific. I'm just kind of curious. Because down here, I mean, like I was saying, in Florida, it's rainy. Summer is just a rainy season. Oh, okay. Petrichor. What does petrichor mean? Because I only know it as the name of a planet in the Risk of Rain series. Petrichor 5 is where a lot of the events take place. The distinctive scent which accompanies the first rain after a long dry spell. Cool. Yeah, dude, I love the smell of rain. And I guess this is a specific pungentness of that rain scent. Observe the rain. Suddenly significantly chillier, dropping down to 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit at night. Dang, dude. I kind of want to be there. The past 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we've had heat advisories for like 8 hours of the day, usually starting around, well, now that it's been raining in the morning, we don't have them as much. So I guess this was the last couple of weeks, barring this week. But we've had heat indexes up to like 109, 110, 112. It's murder to go outside. They advise you not to do it from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Try not to be outside. That's just impossible. I would love to have 50 Fahrenheit right now. JWoww? What's JWoww? Well, if Sweden had a good summer, I kind of wish I had experienced the Swedish summer. Vietnam heat index would be 117. Dang. Yeah, dude, that's wild. 13C top and rainy. So is that like 59, 60 Fahrenheit? That's not too bad. Yeah, dude, 117 is the hottest I think I've felt. We hit a new high 2 years ago. We hit a heat index of 115, and dude, that's just terrible. Absolutely brutal. I can't imagine anything above that. Although honestly, 2 Fahrenheit points isn't much, but once you start hitting those extremes, it probably feels pretty intense. Hannah Minx? What is that? It's also because the amount of rain that falls in the area doesn't have any more rainy days than Northwest Europe. The volume is so much higher. Oh, 55. Okay. I was a little off on that. So each degree of Celsius is a little under 1 degree Fahrenheit. For some reason, I thought it was a little under 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Although it is exponent. Yeah, that's not going to be consistent, is it? Yeah, it depends because of the multiplicative aspect. Yep. Yeah. What is that called? Not a linear scale, but a... I'm kind of mad I'm blanking out on that term. Where the value changes as the... It is it linear? I'm kind of curious. I know we got to get back on track, but is the ratio of Celsius to Fahrenheit linear? It is linear. Okay. Huh. Yeah. I figured because there's a multiplicative aspect, the 9/5 times Celsius would have created something that had a bit of a curve to it, but yep, that's another way of writing it. Exponential. That's the word I wanted. What is Fahrenheit based on? It's just freedom units, man. We just came up with it. No, I'm sure there's some science that goes into it. If anyone knows, I'd be interested. Celsius makes sense to me. Kelvin makes sense to me. Fahrenheit just seems random. It's probably why Fahrenheit isn't scientifically used very often, if ever. Does any scientific field use Fahrenheit over Kelvin or Celsius? The lower defining point of 0, Fahrenheit was established as the freezing temperature of a solution of brine made from a mixture of water, ice, and salt. Interesting. Fahrenheit is German. It's like burgers. All right, let's get this rolling because we just spent the last 10 minutes talking about temperatures. We have the Tragically Hip here. In a world possessed by the human minds. This one comes at us from 2112, going to go with a classic Canadian band this month in the Tragically Hip, R.I.P. Gordon Downey. Very straightforward rock. You got to get the in there. Gives it importance, gives it meaning. All right, let's see what the Tragically Hip are bringing to the table. Not just any old Tragically Hip. It is straightforward rock so far, but harmonically, it's a bit of the past.
Just give me the news.
Very 80s.
It can all be lies. Exciting over fair, or the right thing at the right time. Everything is clear.
That's interesting too.
Just how you describe.
Mark, that's I love soft rhymes like that. Speed of light, Fahrenheit.
Then I think I smiled. Then I think you said it's fine. And quietly I dressed in a world completely possessed by the human mind.
Lots of space in here. The guitar does their riff and just hangs on to a note for a while. Very light second guitar work.
Fighting's going nowhere and we stay right here. But everything is quiet. Little super dangerous. Shadow of the law and with colors.
What would I know from the Tragically hip. Because I recognize the general sound, I recognize the vocals. New Orleans is sinking. Might be another one of those songs that I've heard but never knew the title for.
Everything is quiet, little super dangerous, quiet enough to hear God whistling around in the bushes.
I like the drums coming in and starting to drive this forward a little bit.
Oh, but it was you. Girl, I was so afraid. You said you should have seen the look on your face. Then I hope I laughed. Then I hope I said it's fine. And quietly undressed in a world completely possessed by the human mind.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. Very uplifting. The vocals to me are still something very 80s about them. I can hear the indie element, but they feel very 80s post-rock.
Girl, I was so afraid. You said you should have seen the look on.
Yeah, new wave. That's the not post. I mean, part post-rock rock too, but new wave. Yeah. Yeah, very straightforward track. The only thing that really stands out to me besides the catchiness of this and just the general uplifting feeling is the drums, where the guitars kind of do what I expect from them. We get some chords, we get some light ornamentation, not really much more beyond that. The drums are rather active. Yeah, in a song like this, I kind of expect them to take a bit more a background role, locking into a metronome vibe, but he doesn't. I mean, we get that occasionally, but we still have some really neat fills in here. Maybe Talking Heads is what I'm thinking of, though. I'm gonna put New Orleans is Sinking on real quick and see if I recognize that. Let's find the chorus, maybe.
My baby, she don't know me when I'm thinking about those.
Yeah, Ahead by a Century.
No dress rehearsal. With revenge and doubt.
No, maybe I am just getting them confused with Talking Heads then. Are they older? I saw that this album came out in 2016. But it's possible that I don't have a direct way to check that out right now. They're big in Canada, but I don't think they're big elsewhere. Formed in 84. Yeah, that is quite a bit older. I'm curious then, again, maybe I am just getting them mixed up with Talking Heads for some reason. Yeah, dude, they've been around for a while then. And still putting music out? Yeah, they had a 2024 album. So, cool. Oh, okay. Well, that's a bit of a downer. Someone had said in the Discord server something about just asking nicely If people could stop dying. And it's kind of comical just in the request itself, but I feel it so much. I mean, this is the third musician in this stream alone that's popped up that we've talked about who's passed away. So it does feel like it's just speeding up for some reason. I'm just happy I know you're joking. Golly. And I think there's certainly that element of it too. You know, as we get older, we begin to know of more people, more musicians. It just becomes statistical that we're going to recognize more passings, more deaths. Popular music mostly started in the 50s. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of really well-known musicians. Yeah, someone's got to bring in the gallows humor. I'll be honest, dude. That's where I reside. Honestly, I try not to bring too much of it to the channel, because I try to keep the channel as a positive hub for places. But yeah, I use comedy to get through tough times for sure. All right, nothing else to add to the Tragically Hip track. Fine rock song. It's got a nice vibe to it, and something about the drum work just stands out. We have to embrace death. That's for sure. You can't run from it. Cannot run from it. Not until someone finds that vampire, anyways. The one in need of familiars. Who said that earlier? I don't remember. That was like 2 hours ago. We have some Entropia coming on. We checked out an album from them about a month ago, I suppose now. It was, of course. That makes sense. I'd rather not give Death a hug before I have to. Maybe you should give Death a hug. He'll give you a couple more years. He's just a lonely guy. Needs a little bit of, well, actually, I suppose if you touch Death, right? That's the thing. If he touches you, then you die. Does the robe count? What if he puts his hands up and you just hug the robe? I'm the vampire wannabe. I'm not a vampire, but I feel like one. Every time I think of vampires, dude, that song. Coming back to some oldies, some scene style oldies. Embrace death, but don't get too intimate. That's good. If I touch death and it dies, well, you've unlocked a superpower. Do you really? I mean, I hope you catch a vibe for the people in the limo first, but I could see some groups going for it, lightening the mood a little bit. The mythology around it is more that death cuts the cord of life. Other imagery is taking the train to the final station. If you punch death with boxing gloves, are you okay? Well, see, here I'm trying to figure out where that visual idea, because like cutting the cord, that reminds me a lot of the Fates. I can't remember their proper name from Greek mythology though. Having the threads of fate and stuff like that. So I've seen that. But when it comes to death touching you, I don't think that comes from, at least in my experience, I haven't seen it used in a mythological sense. It's more of just something that shows up in animation. I vaguely remember the late 90s cartoon, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and they hung out with death. I'm pretty sure if he touched you, you die. I want to say that's how they showed death in Family Guy as well, maybe even The Simpsons. Like, it seems to be this recurring thing, but I don't know where it originated from. The Moirai? Why do I know that word too? Also known as the Fates. Yep. Okay, so that's why I know that. Those are the Fates in Greek mythology. battling with some death right now, but still winning. That's a good way to look at it. They are truly beyond anything in this world. Even the gods are bound by fate. I always find that really interesting too about Greek mythology. Something supernatural and otherworldly, even to the gods. Something beyond them. I wonder if the Greeks ever. I mean, there's a lot of philosophers in Greece back then too, but I wonder if anyone really caught on to like the feeling of that the fates usually were just portrayed as another part of the mythology, but that they really were this level beyond, almost something cosmic. And I don't remember any stories of the gods, any of the gods, kind of having that existential crisis that they could go talk to the fates, but so far beyond reproach to them. It's a really cool element that you don't really see too often in mythology. All right. Before I get put on another sidetrack, usually gods are pretty lame in pagan religions. They're just, yeah, that's fair. The more you dive into it, Indo-European traditional religions are on a baseline very different from how religion is experienced nowadays. 100%. Context. This one comes from Jaron. You recently reacted to the whole third album by Entropia. Now I want to send some comparison to their previous work. This is from an album directly preceding Vacuum. So this will be interesting. It's more transactional than devotional. Yeah. Yeah, the gods are not different from people, 100%. They have more power, but they're still just people. They're fallible, which is really interesting compared to religions like the Judeo-Christian branches. All right, let's wrap today up. Last track of the day. We got some metal ahead of us. Let's dive in. I was trying to figure out what it was, but it's almost like a I don't even know. It has squid-like appendages, but it's a really big head. But I like the detail on the eyes. Kind of having that classic crazed hypnosis look. Oh, good call on the skull. For some reason, though, the cross-section at the top reminds me of a kiwi. And so the skull thing never clicked because I was looking at it like fruit. That's a big bass guitar, too. I must have missed that little detail. I like the synth textures on the outside of this. A little twinkling. A little bit of polyrhythm on the snare there. sharp turn. Ooh. It's interesting because it sounds like post-rock in metal. It doesn't sound like post-metal. Yeah, I would like some sort of overarching narrative element, but it's really great at crafting textures and atmospheres. Ooh, ooh. You can really hear the timing discrepancies here, but I do agree that they're not very disruptive. Yeah, I definitely think this is great for a non-melodic style. I find it really difficult to discern whether it's intentional or not. So, would this be like blackened post-rock? That's a fair observation. Yeah, you need the context of other performances. That's cymbal work. I want to see the drum cam for that. Because the rest of that was pretty straightforward, but I'm also trying to figure out how he's getting from the splash cymbal over to the hi-hat so quickly to get that in. I mean, it's just, his right hand's got to be bouncing rapidly between them. Psychedelic metal. And what's cool too is that this is quite different from the album that came after it, Vacuum, which we checked out last month, I suppose, by now. And I had mostly positive things to say, given it's fairly extreme metal. So, yeah, there was also, was it eighth notes? Yeah, eighth notes on the bass kick and the snare, and crash cymbal. I think crash cymbal was eighth notes too. Maybe it was quarter notes. Just, you know, really rigid beats, and then really fast stuff off to the side. Really fun idea there. This was wild, you know? It's not often that we check out a song that to me is so clearly post-rock, but done in a metallic way that doesn't turn into post-metal. And I think it's very cool that they can kind of keep the rock and the metal side separate. I think Arkonji was right that there is a melodic quality to it, which gives it that cinematic element that post-rock does a great job at exploring. There's also a lot of reverb in here rather than compression and rather than that staticky crackling sound, which I think also leans into that rockier sound. And it allows them to explore these cinematic soundscapes while still having some chunky guitars and aggressive vocals and aggressive drums and that massive meaty bass guitar at the bottom to give it that metallic weight and aggression. And bringing the two together alongside that blackened moment. We had like 40 seconds or so of just straight 16th notes and gnarly vocals. So just kind of balancing everything out rather nicely here to create, as far as I'm concerned, a rather unique experience. I don't think I've heard anything quite like this. And that's impressive. I mean, there's probably a lot of stuff I haven't heard, but in the realm of rock and metal, y'all have shown me a lot. And for me to be impressed by something because it's fresh to my ears, I don't get that too often. Very enjoyable to listen to, even if you won't seek out more. I don't think I will dive into this. As Pear accurately grabbed earlier, it's just a little bit too texture-based for me. But, you know, if anybody was like, hey, dude, Entropia, we're listening to more of it, I'm down for that. You know, I think this band has grabbed my attention, if not something casually, then at least artistically. And I would definitely be interested in checking out more from them in that context. Isn't Russian Circles doing the same quite often? Not in what I've heard. They're definitely more on the metal, noisy side of things. Lots of compression. They are more melodic, I'll give you that, than a lot of other post-metal. But they don't have this rocky side to it, where they're playing, well, again, from what I've heard. I don't think that I've heard too much of their new stuff either, which could also be this. But when I think of Russian Circles, I think of, was it 403? Whatever that first one was that I went back and listened to, because that was my first exploration of post-metal, and I had no idea how to even talk about it. Yeah, actually, Scaphoid was a bit new to me too. Electronic progressive metal. So I do think that this had melodic qualities to it. I don't know that there was a melody or a riff in here that I would say was catchy that walked me through it, but it wasn't as static as progressive metal can be. It wasn't, I suppose, wall of sounds. And I think that's what really grabs me here, is that there is moving qualities. I don't know if I would necessarily call them a melody, but there are elements in here that move the song in a more linear manner. All right, Mark, have a good rest of your day. Oh, for sure. This was a great track. And like I said, it gave me a different perspective on this band too. So that's pretty cool as well. And if you enjoyed this, like I said, their next album was a little different, but we did do a reaction to the album that came after this one. You can check that out. It's called Vacuum. It was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. All right, Arkonji, have a good rest of your day. Boomer shooter gameplay in a roguelike fashion. Abyssus? I'll have to look that up because, well, my friends don't like boomer shooters, but that's because they're lame. But they do like roguelikes. I'll have to see if I can't get them in on that. Someone keeps playing Abiotic. What is that game called? They keep posting screenshots of it in the Discord. I got to get my friend group on that too. Generally don't play shooters, and I like it quite a bit. Dude, that says a lot. Abiotic Factor. That's it. Yep. I think the last sale, it was still $20 or something. But that's a game that looks really good. All right. Yep, everyone, thanks for hanging out with me this Sunday. Early access will be available for tomorrow's videos relatively soon. The VOD for this will be up within the hour, hopefully. And for everyone else, tomorrow we'll kick it off with Shoegaze Week. Look forward to that. All right. Until next time, y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. And I'll see you later.